processes. What I need is a system for collecting the data accurately so I can tell the funders about the distance travelled and the money spent and the achievements hit and so on. So what do you have for your internal processes?
Is it sessional? Sorry.
We put down that we need to identify and understand that the clients are all individuals and need to be treated as such.
So you need to monitor client needs.
Monitor their needs. We need to look at the stability that's there to make sure that people are working in a consistent way with the clients, that one person is not giving one message out and another member of staff comes along and gives another message out.
Can I ask this group to comment? These things they've said so far, would you think that they ought to go in the processes, or do you think they're more reflection and improvement? Because you said reflection and improvement, and they've talked about monitoring that everything is always the same and that standards are always met.
No, not really saying monitoring, we're saying that they should be. We should operate in that way, so that's the sort of the running, the way it's run.
The way it's run.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then check up through
and then
the monitoring.
check up through the monitoring. Okay. Carry on then.
And there needs to be a staff training and supervision, and an acceptance that we don't win on every occasion, and that if we do not succeed, then we learn from the failures that gone and the mistakes that we've made in the process.
But that's an important ethos.
Probably down there a bit as
that's
well.
An ethos, isn't it? Yeah, I can see you spotting that as you were saying it. That is an ethos, and it's a reflection standpoint. It's not process. So the processes you do every day are what makes the organisation work, and there is some of that stuff is reflection and improvement. Are we doing it right? Are we doing it right? Okay, so that's something to be very careful of when you're back at base, thinking about which processes you're excelling at, which actually do drive, it's in the middle, it's got to drive everything else. Reflection and improvement, what did you have?
We thought we should review the attendance of the young people. We thought we should look at what formal qualifications they were able to achieve later on, and what progression they made, individual progression they made while they were on the project. And we should often review course content to see whether that's what was needed. And the other thing we put was that we should review inclusivity, so we should have a look to see whether what we're offering is going to be suitable for all.
So there's lots of reviewing. There's reviewing the qualifications that are available, reviewing inclusivity, reviewing their progression and their attendance.
And whether they started either back into education at some point and attained formal qualifications.
So their final attainments.
Yeah, but not necessarily the project. It's a case of seeing what longer term effect you
If I
have.
can bring you back to your chart, what you would do then is set a goal in terms of the funders and stakeholders to make the case for long-term monitoring. And that would be a goal you would set in the funder and stakeholder box. And you would have to have processes to prove that was needed and to gather that information and reflect on it and monitor it. And then after a number of years, you could make a case really strongly. So you can see why this is an important exercise, because it brings up goals that you might not have thought of, because they're not the day-to-day thing you do.
Can I just think about monitoring? So we're monitoring some statistic about what we do, how many clients, how can they turn up or whatever. Is that a process because you're doing it? Yeah. Is it for funders because that's how you're going to deliver it? Or is it in fact a reflection and improvement because you're doing it in order to reflect and improve? Where do you think it should go?
As you're spotting these little arrows here. I think in most efficient organisations, I mean, somebody said professional, in inverted commas, earlier, and we all know that that's not right, because people say it's the professionalisation of the sector and we're professional already. What we haven't got necessarily is slick processes so that things happen automatically without us having to stop what we're doing, which is the good works, and do it on the side. So yes, the monitoring process, if we're running efficiently, should be something that is internalised, that we do as a matter of course. Whether it works or not means we have to reflect on that monitoring process, and is it meeting the funders' needs is what we'd look at when we were reflecting. So you're right, you do need to set yourself or think about where the goal is best sits, and if you haven't got a process for it and you know you need one, then there's no point in reflecting on it. That's not the most important thing. You need to get the process there first, check that it's doing what you need, and then you can reflect on it maybe a year down the line to see how it works. So it's about timelines, it's about what process must we excel in order to make sure we're doing well. And in that case I will put it here, because if it's not there, it needs to be there, and you need to excel in that process.
And I think that will be picked up when we start looking at the linkages
Yeah,
after lunch. I think
that's
that
right.
becomes
Yeah.
very apparent.
Yes.
Yes.
What we'll do is we'll work on this real case study later after lunch. You're probably all tired now, but I just want to flick through very quickly what you can look at over lunch. And what I'll do over lunch is I'll try and make those a little bit more succinct so that you're able to work on them, rather than being very notey. But I think you'll find that was step one. You've now completed step one. You've done that back at base. That's step one done, and that's often the hardest one.